I'm Emily P. Freeman, and welcome to The Next Right Thing. You're listening to episode 371. This is a podcast about making decisions, but also about making a life. If you struggle with decision fatigue, chronic hesitation, or if you just need a few minutes away from the constant stream of information and the sometimes delightful but distracting hum of entertainment, you're in the right place for discerning your next right thing. I'm an author, a spiritual director, and an occasional workshop leader. I live in North Carolina with my family, and through my work, I've helped thousands of spiritually thoughtful people overcome decision fatigue so that they can discern their next right thing in faith, work, and life. If you're feeling far from wonder or disconnected from your own faith, today's episode is an invitation to listen, notice, and remember. Listen in. Lately, I've been noticing the smallest humans among us. Maybe it's because they are the age that I am currently most removed from, and I always romanticize the stages of life I am not currently in. When my kids were little, I promise you, I was watching those moms of older kids reading their books by the pool while their swimmers could mostly fend for themselves. But of course, I knew nothing of the power struggles or the situationship drama or the emotional second guessing that comes along with parenting tweens and teens. Even among those of us for whom reflection is a regular practice, it's still difficult, if not sometimes impossible, to truly see the stage of life that you're in while you're in it. And I'm never going to be the one to tell young parents to enjoy them while they're young. They grow so fast. Listen, I remember those days were so hard and so long. I know this so well, but they're also gone. And I'm so low-key glad for myself that those hard, young, small children days are gone. But I'm also a little bit nostalgic. It can feel like both sorrow and like joy, like a lump in my throat, like freedom. They are becoming themselves now, and if we're paying attention, so are we. This is good and right. It can also feel confusing because we're always growing up, even though we're grown. In the past 5 years, one of the things my spiritual director has repeated the most to me is this: your kids will lead you. They will be your teachers. And to tell you the truth, I like how this sounds for you and your kids. But as for me and my house, I sometimes still have a hard time letting go of the idea that parent equals leader and teacher. I'm supposed to know things, and it's also my responsibility for them to know those things too. And let me tell you, though, that worldview began to crumble when I had 3 young teenagers at home. Of course, we teach our kids stuff at every age of their development, but this idea that my role is to teach and lead and theirs is to learn and follow is one that doesn't apply to real life. Not really. It's not how families work. Because the unspoken part of this is if I teach and lead in all the right ways by saying all the right things, then they will become the grown-ups that I imagine they should be. While it may seem like I'm encouraging them to be formed by God through my leading and my teaching, what often happens instead is an anxiety-filled pressure to conform them into the image of the person I imagine God would have them to be, which, if we're speaking plainly, is not actually the image of God in them, but my image of me. These kids are becoming who they are, not who I think they should be. And this is true of our young adults, and it's also true of our little ones. We don't only start learning from our kids when they get to be as tall as us, when they start driving and making their own decisions and can hold a thoughtful, complex conversation. It's a little easier to see the ways I've learned from my kids as they've gotten older, but the truth is the littlest ones are our teachers too, maybe even some of the best. Now that I'm far removed from the baby and toddler stage of parenting, I'm starting to actually see the children again. I'm noticing the way babies don't wear shoes out in public because they can't walk yet, so why would they? They just have to sit there in the little strollers and be a baby. No shoes required. I'm noticing the way a toddler followed her mother down the aisle for godly play on Sunday, holding her little head up high because she knew just where to go. And John and I looked at each other thinking the very same thing, which was, how can a person so small go to children's church, much less walk there on her two tiny little human feet? I'm noticing the way the young mom with her toddler son prattling on about something he saw on a shelf at the store as he stood inside the cart facing out King of the World Titanic style. When we were out of earshot, I turned and looked up at my own grown son who was with me. And I was like, "You used to do that." And I was smiling, remembering the version of him. And I told him, "You used to be small and chatter on and stand in the cart and ask to buy the toys." I noticed the cry of a 5-ish-year-old at the antique store the other day calling out for his mommy without a care in the world who heard. It was just straight up, "I need help. Where's my mommy?" I saw a POV Instagram reel from Hillary McBride filled with video images of her young daughter dancing, sliding, waving, jumping, eating, and living her whole big life. And the caption was, "You thought you were teaching your daughter how to love her body, but you realize she knew how all along, and she was the one teaching you." Hillary goes on to say in that same post, "There are many magical things about being around kids. But one of my favorites these days is how kids often remind us what is true of all of us right from the start. Our kids come into the world knowing how to listen to their bodies." I recently read a quote from Richard Rohr in his book, Everything Belongs, that so beautifully summed up so much of what I've been thinking about and learning about parenting, about childhood, and about life with God lately. He wrote, "All great spirituality is about letting go." Growing up is like a scavenger hunt, and we're always collecting clues about how to survive in the world, about what keeps us safe, who we can trust, what we love, who we are, where we belong, and what postures we need to take to keep it that way. But before our nervous systems crystallized around patterns of protection, we were just children learning our way around the world, noticing, playing, being. And so I'm learning from the children how to let go of some of my own protective postures. As a parent watching my kids grow up, I can sometimes feel myself trying to rebuild the house, to keep things running the way I thought they were going to go. But I get the sense that God continues to beckon us outward, not backward, inviting us to live in the open and stretch our legs and arms and hearts, to let the light in and see what else we can let go. As a person observing children in the world, I'm learning that I don't always have to take myself so seriously, and that play, imagination, and wonder aren't extra, but essential. Also, that confidence and neediness are not mutually exclusive. And as a woman who used to be a child, I'm learning how to care for the child within, to listen to her, to remind her that she's safe, to honor her need to take some things slow. Maybe you have kids, or maybe you know some. Maybe you, like me, notice them when you're out and about. And when you do, maybe it will take you back to your own childhood in a small way. And if it does, I wonder if you might remember what you loved then, how you played then, and what you dreamed about. I wonder if you might remember something of small you, and if this might be an arrow to how you're experiencing God now, maybe without even realizing it. Childlike faith is not about pretending everything is fine, but choosing to stay open to what is still good. It's about remembering what you loved before you learned to hide it. We are not children anymore, but that doesn't mean we stop learning from them. So here's to learning from the children as we do our next right thing in love. Thanks for listening to episode 371 of The Next Right Thing. I hope this simple practice of learning from the children can be just one more rung on the trellis upon which your rhythm of life can continue to grow. Because while it's true, this is a podcast about making decisions, the bigger truth is our daily decisions are making our lives. If you prefer reading to listening, we have transcripts of every episode available at emilypfreeman.com. But if you prefer watching to reading or listening, we're also on YouTube. Maybe you've already noticed that we've been adding these episodes to YouTube, so if that's your thing, you can pull them up there and check us out. We have a few reasons for adding this element of the podcast, and one of them is discoverability. It's unofficially the world's second largest search engine behind Google, which makes it a great place for new listeners. or new viewers to find the next right thing, and possibly easier for you to share it. There aren't bells and whistles here, I can assure you, but if you like the idea of watching your podcast, I'm here for you. As always, you can find me online at emilypfreeman.com or on Instagram at emilypfreeman. This episode was edited by the team at Unmutable and organized by Ashley Sherlock. In closing, a few words from Madeline L'Engle in her book, Walking on Water. To be more childlike, you don't have to give up being an adult. The fully integrated person is capable of being both mature and innocent, wise and simple. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you next time.